Chapter 1. Introduction. Call for a change. Monday morning, May 18, 1998, the Salt Lake Tribune carried an article, quoting the Los Angeles Times, stating that the LDS Church was considering a proposal to repudiate historic doctrines concerning the black people in the priesthood. It began by stating, 20 years after the Mormon Church dropped its ban against blacks in the priesthood, key leaders are debating a proposal to repudiate historic church doctrines that were used to bolster claims of black inferiority. The proposal to disavow the teachings, which purport to link black skin color to curses from God recounted in Hebrew and Mormon scriptures, is under review by the Church's Committee on Public Affairs, made up of members of the Church's highest governing circles, known as general authorities. This interpretation, however, was denied publicly by the LDS First Presidency, as once again reported by the Tribune. The matter has not been discussed by the First Presidency and the Quorum of the 12. SL Tribune, May 19, 1998. However, many church liberals were enthusiastic about such a possibility, in spite of church denials. Once again, this has renewed the controversy among both LDS members and non-members, invoking many comments and letters to the editor. The idea of revoking the doctrine raised a query as to whether or not it had actually ever been a doctrine, and, if so, why wasn't it changed 150 years ago? And if it were a doctrine, who has the right to make such a change? Then there remains the unanswered question, where is the revelation that changed it in 1978? Armand Moss, a sociologist, called the restriction of priesthood to the blacks a doctrinal folklore, and a Mr. Dorius Gray, who leads a support group for black Mormons, said that keeping blacks in the LDS Church is still a problem because of the attitudes of a small number of white members. SL Tribune, June 6, 1998. Generally speaking, LDS Church leaders from Joseph Smith to Spencer Kimball refused to confer priesthood, ordain to an office, or give temple ordinances to the black race. In 1978 that doctrine was changed, and apologists, compromisers, and the misinformed began to teach that these early leaders were wrong. Many works, such as Neither White Nor Black by Lester Bush and Armand Moss, relate how concentrated their efforts have been. Among their conclusions are the following points. So far then, the following points have been made regarding church doctrine on the subject. 1. Neither the Lord nor the church leaders have given us an adequate explanation for withholding the priesthood from the Negroes or from anyone else. We simply accept the policy on the basis of faith, a few partially relevant scriptures, and the position of the First Presidency. 2. Apparent scriptural or historical precedents may help us feel a little less beleaguered on the issue, but they don't really explain anything. 3. The pre-existence explanation may explain a little about how or when, and it suggests that Hamitic lineage is the result of ineligibility for the priesthood, not the cause. However, 4. This explanation tells us nothing about why. Unless we mix in a dubious and speculative theory about the war in heaven. Neither white nor black, page 13. Regardless of the fact that all 4 points are inaccurate assumptions, such statements are the kind that most modern Mormons are glad to hear and accept. Such assertions entertain the idea that the first dozen church presidents were blundering along without an understanding of what was right or wrong on this issue, but then finally President Kimball was able to straighten it all out. An analysis of the above 4 points, however, will show that 1. The Lord and church leaders have given more than an adequate explanation for withholding priesthood from the Negroes, and there are more than a few partially relevant scriptures to establish more than a policy on the subject. 2. The scriptures and historical precedents will give us more than a beleaguered understanding, and where they don't really explain anything in reality they explain many things. 3. The pre-existence explanation will explain the cause and more than a little suggestion about how and when some were not to receive the priesthood. 4. This explanation also tells us more than nothing about the reason why. It also gives us more than dubious and speculative theory about the war in heaven. However, the controversy persists and has not been completely settled in the minds of interested people. Theories, speculations, arguments, scriptures, and non-scriptures continue to circulate regarding the blacks and the priesthood. After 150 years of pro and con, why can't this matter be settled? The greatest problem seems to stem from personal and public opinions. It has been a mudslinging controversy with all the adjectives of racist, mongrelizer, prejudiced, liberal, extremist, etc. The stigma, if it can be called that, of the blacks not having the priesthood was thought to have been erased by the LDS Church announcement in 1978. But it still continues to haunt many members. So perhaps this issue still needs more research and discussion. In commemoration of the 20th anniversary of the LDS Church 1978 Black Revelation, this book presents additional information to be seriously considered in one's search for resolution in this controversial priesthood issue.